Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Tech Ben, and welcome back to this dramatic reading of Order and Chaos by Tatsuro. Chapter 29, Thrill of the Hunt. Rarity's face wrinkled into a disgusted frown as she stepped out of the portal and into a thick jungle. Ugh, seriously? Is this Discord's idea how to treat a lady? Hearing a squelch, she stared down in chagrin as she pulled her hoof out of a pile of, well, for the sake of her sanity, she would call it fun of recycled dirt. She immediately began trying to shake her hoof clean while looking around for a clean spot to wipe off. Despite her best efforts, she found only mud, wet leaves, and the point of a bow and arrow aimed at her. As her mind registered that last bit, she brightened up. Locals? Ugh, do be a dear and point the business end of that weapon elsewhere, won't you? Perhaps you know somewhere I might freshen. Yep! She threw herself to the ground as she saw the string of the bow released, 3 arrows somehow thudding into the ground right beside her, at the exact height that would have passed through her neck had she not flung herself flat. As the strange figure reached for more arrows, Rarity did the only sensible thing. She turned tail and ran as fast as her forelegs could carry her. Smart move. Privately, she was pleased to discover that said speed caught her unknown assailant by surprise, if the startled curse was anything to go by. However, she made sure not to slow down until she heard no sound of pursuit. By the time she began to run out of breath, she'd lost all track of how far she had gone. Glancing down, she winced and did her best to hold her nose. As she feared, she flung herself down on the pile she stepped in, and was now a filthy, bedraggled mess that stunk to high heaven. Oh, he's going to pay for putting me through this. Discord and whoever that was. Just as soon as I find somewhere to get clean. I can't even face myself like this. She continued at a more sedated pace, wincing at the feeling of dirt, mud, and other things clinging to her fur and dripping off her hose. As she searched her surroundings for anything that could provide her with relief, she gasped in delight as she saw sight of a sparkle between the trees. Oh, this is probably the first time I'll have ever said this, but please don't let that sparkle be jewels. She promptly dashed towards the sparkle, crowning in glee as the trees parted to reveal a pristine lake. Unable to stop herself, she leapt into the water, doing her best to cleanse herself of slime and other things that clung to her from her trip through the jungle. She gasped from the shock of the cold, but quickly began to luxuriate in the sparkling water, not caring that her careful, perfect coiled mane and tail were left straight from the water. Clean most definitely took priority. As she finally felt herself completely clean, she swam to the edge of the lake, climbed out, and proceeded to shake as much of the water from her body as she could. When a familiar sound caught her attention, she focused her magic into a small screen of light that 3 arrows embedded themselves in. Oh no, she snapped out. That's quite enough humiliating the fabulous one, thank you very much. I just got clean, and it's going to take more than a few arrows to run me through the jungle soaking wet just so I can get filthy again. When silence, and no further arrows, appeared, she dropped the screen and used her magic to strip the water from her coat, mane, and tail. Why, thank you very much, she called out politely before seizing the arrows in her magic and running for it. After a while of running, she came to a halt in a small clearing. All right, Rarity, she said to herself. Take stock. You're chilled in a strange jungle, and something is hunting you with arrows. Your resources are your wits, your magic, and 3 arrows. Now, this may seem like a hopeless situation. After all, a prim and proper lady certainly would have no chance surviving such a situation. Why, such a lady's only hope would probably be rescued from the jaws of a hungry hunting cat by some dashing jungle stallion. At that moment, a furious snarl echoed from behind her as a leopard leapt out of the bushes in a hunting pounce, only to receive 2 magically thrown arrows into both eye sockets, knocking it off course to skid to the ground, dead. But then, I'm not some helpless, delicate flower, unless there happens to be such a dashing stallion around to save me. Rarity started as she walked over to the corpse. Besides, after Blue Blood, well, I'm not about to swoon for just any dashing rogue who comes to my rescue. I'm going to be handling myself this time, and that means improving my situation. gathering resources and using my wits. She levitated the third arrow, checking how sharp the arrowhead was. I just hope Fluttershy will forgive me for this. Bringing the arrow down, she began cutting into the corpse. Hircine continued to stalk carefully through the Borderland forest in slow pursuit of the unicorn that had entered his range. He'd never hunted a unicorn before, especially one that talked, and he was enjoying it immensely. He made sure to give her a few opportunities to give a good showing, waiting so long before shooting at that first meeting and letting her dry herself before making her run the second time. And now he was ready to bring the hunt to an end. He had his final arrows prepared, ready to put one straight through her neck when he caught sight of her again. When he instead caught sight of a leopard that had been skinned, declawed, and defanged, with two of his own arrows through its eyes, he paused to reconsider. Especially the fact that the leopard was tied up between two trees by vines, with its entire body pulled taut in 4 directions. He started to take a step towards it to search for clues, but stopped his foot before he entered the clearing. Something didn't seem right. Lowering his gaze, he stared at the leaves covering the clearing, and saw the vine noose waiting for his foot, just where he was about to place. Glancing around, he saw similar traps scattered around in exactly the places he would evade to with his body mass and shape, leading into an inescapable combination if he'd placed his foot down carefully. He found himself grinning. Ever since he and Discord had played at hunting each other, he'd grown to love clever prey. He mentally commanded his bladed arrows to change shape. This was another prey he wanted to hunt again later, which meant not killing her. With traps as complex as these, he knew she wouldn't have been able to get too far after preparing them. As such, he did step into the clearing, making sure to put his foot where there weren't any traps. To his surprise, his foot passed right through the solid-seeming ground. His bow went flying from his hand as his arms pinwheeled to seize any purchase, only to fall forward and land on his face 1 foot down as the illusionary ground vanished. Growling, he pushed himself to his feet to retrieve his bow. Not another step! Carefully, Hircine raised his head. There was the unicorn, having clambered over the leopard's course she'd been hiding behind, the bow now held in magic grip. The leopard's skin had been expertly tailored into a protective vest, loincloth, and leg wrappings, while the fur from its head had been made into a shaded hood. Paint made from a mix of the leopard's blood and a few herbs and berries surrounding the cleanings marked her fur coat in a camouflage pattern, giving her an almost immaculate tribal appearance. 3 arrows were already drawn as the bow glowed with a golden light. I don't know who you are or why you're hunting me, the unicorn snapped out, but I want answers. Why Discord sent me here? We're only ruffians! She let out a startled gasp as Hircine vanished to appear behind her. Oh, you're from the games! He stated flatly. I hadn't realized they had begun. I wondered why my bow was glowing. I really like that bow, too. The white mare blinked as she stared at the bow in her grip. You mean? Yes, that's the artifact you were sent to retrieve, Hircine growled. Now I'm going to have to make a new one. He carefully suppressed his irritation. The illusion of the trapped ground over the pit was a nice trick. I'll have to remember it, though a deeper pit would have worked better. Well, I didn't want to actually hurt you, just get answers. And now you have them, Hircine stated flatly, gesturing to the portal that opened. The white unicorn turned to go. She paused. Oh, where are my manners? My name is Rarity. What is yours? Hircine. Rarity smiled warmly. I shall remember it, she declared before stepping through the portal. It's always a joy when Tatsuro gets to play around with a character more so than anything else. Because these aren't normal situations, but they're definitely situations you can see them excelling in. I could totally see Rarity having some backup options like this, given the fact that she does, go hunting for gems on a regular basis. She, does have some survival training potentially, or at least some, wilderness survival, which is, again, highly entertaining to see taken to its logical extremes of, oh god, I'm being hunted, please save me, save me! I also love the bow bit, but then I shot bow in real life at one point, so to me the archer is always a sort of a class I identify with. The person who's like slow draw and fire. That's another chapter in the dirt, folks. Creeping up on the end. Hopefully I can get this out in time for BronyCon 2017. That'd be fantastic to be able to say, yeah, I finished that. Here's my card. But I better wrap this up then and get on to the next one if I want to pull that together, because I've got about as many days as I've got chapters, and that's not going to work. In the meantime, folks, my name's TechBang. I wish you all good luck, good hunting, and safe travels. I'll see you in the next one, my Benditos.